instant you feel yourself losing control, go back in oxygen. That's the whole purpose of this drill. Look for the warning signs. Giddiness, shortness of breath, claustrophobia. They can hit you at any moment. Your insides will feel like this rubber glove. Now, does everyone understand the exercises? All right, you can begin the exercises now.
Little girl poopies to the left, little boy poopies to the right. How bad you want to survive? I don't believe what I'm seeing. Where you been all your lives? At an orgy? Listening to Mick Jagger music and bad-mouthing your country, I'll bet.
Can't touch me, it's against the law.
You're full of crap.
Take him to the little room.
I can't take this. This is offensive.
Stop eyeballing me, boy. And the only thing between you and the POW camp is what you learned from me. You want to survive bad enough to stop me, pussy? Or are you reliant on my generosity, my love of humanity to stop me from killing you?
Fucking cockroach.
But it is what it is.
You better stop eyeballing me, boy. You're not worthy enough to look your superiors in the eye.
Well, that's where I live. It's where I used to live. It's where I'm gonna live. And not Matthias, nor his family, nor any other son of a bitch is gonna make me leave.
Principal debate. A debate on war and peace.
Get down and give me 50.
Oye, porquero. Number one, fucker. Oye.
The last time you're gonna see a bad guy like this again.
We ain't going there to talk, boy.
Behave yourself.
Now that I got your attention, we shall proceed with class.
There you go, brother.
Namaste.
Hello.
Old school,
Whereas,
one of the best. But James, you gotta be able to tweak that with like bleeping, you know, so that it's appropriate for. I mean, you gotta bleep out the Porquaro.
it's when I get a few minutes of free time.
Beep, and just go beep over it, or cut it out. It's beautiful. It's a work of art. That's a work of art. Nobody does that like you. You're really like ahead of it, and nobody's caught up to you all this time.
I know. It's just I wish I'm maybe in 2 years when I retire, or a year and a half now. When I retire, I'll be able to put some time into it.
All right. Well, the little girl poopies are all on the left, so we're with the boy poopies. I'm identifying today as a boy. So we're all to the right.
John, there's a whole thing on that. I mean, you saw the stuff going on in Congress about it, and it's just the entire thing is. There's something wrong with our.
Speaking about that, I guess you're referring to Nancy May saying that.
Right.
Well, first Magic Mike came out and said, "Well, we're going to treat everybody with respect because there's a congressman who is now identifying as a woman who's dressing up and wants to use the female bathroom." So it came up. But the way it came up is very instructive. I wish we had some of the language to play because, again, the knuckleheads allow themselves to go on the defense. Even Nancy Mace, who says, I was raped, I was sexually assaulted. There's no way in hell that a man is going to come into her, even if they're pretending to be a woman or not, to come into the woman's bathroom, is that they're on the defensive, right? They constantly do this. They let the creep press, which has lost all credibility, which should be called out for everything they do, every lie, everything they say is a lie. They should be called out for it. They said, well, wait a minute. That's actually, what she should have said is that's some kind of sexual fetish that this guy has that I'm not going to play with. So you can go. Why don't you just come out and admit, Mr. Pressman, that you're one of these people that has that sexual fetish too? Call him out for it, because the idea that the one thing we're going to talk about too in a little bit is you can't reason with these people. There's no reasoning because there's no shame to these people. They will say, out of one breath out of the mouth, they'll say that Donald Trump is the one who's a threat to democracy, while they go prosecute him. And the January 6th guys, just because they want to exercise their freedom of speech, right? So, out of one breath of his mouth, Obama is talking about, about mocking, Trump about how he says the elections in 2020 were stolen. I said the word. All right, we'll get canceled again. And now he's out there literally in the same, now saying, oh, elections are stolen because he can see the writing on the wall and they're going to lose. The Democrats are going to be losing a lot of elections. They have no shame because they have no reason because this is their religion. So I think it's a big mistake when Republicans cede the moral ground by any way. So they should just say it. The default position of every Republican says, I'm not going to be lectured to you about morality when you're all for murdering 70 million babies, all right? So when you stop advocating the murdering of 70 million babies, maybe then we can talk about morality. But they do it all the time. Even Nancy Mace falls into the trap, and then they look like what it does is it creates this perception that the press is honest and they're on it and that there's something wrong with the Republicans when it's the exact opposite. There's the exact opposite. It's the Nancy Mace who's being honest, speaking truth for the once, not Magic Mike. Well, Magic Mike eventually came back around later in the day. He said that they can go to
numbers go down. He got a phone call from somebody who said, "Hey, you better change your tune." But John, I'm just gonna interrupt you and say, I don't know. I'm gonna just say and this is humorous. Everyone, this is humorous. My 14-year-old version of myself would have been quite excited to be able to say, I'm gonna go into the girls' bathroom. I mean, this blows my mind. Like 14-year-old James Baldini would have been like, "Okay, let's go."
It's a taboo, right?
This is
a big adventure.
I mean,
what's
I would have been suspended. I would have been suspended. I probably would have been kicked out of the school by Uncle Gus. Uncle Gus and Mr. Frank would have kicked me out of the school. Can you imagine the beatdown that the old man would have given us if we said, we're going to start peeing in the girls' bathroom from now on. Okay? No one minds, right? We're just going to start. If I walked into the girls' bathroom and said, I'm a chick, John, back in the day, in 1984, if that happened,
that's sexual assault.
I would have been dragged out by every single boyfriend of every girl in there, and I would have had the piss beaten out of me. Where are we living? And okay, so maybe that's humorous, but it's also tongue in cheek here. It's like, what are we doing here? What is going on? Because why is it? Everyone hates the 80s, but the 1984 man would be dragging people out.
We might have peaked in then. No.
We would have been peaking, but having some guy go into their sister's bathroom and or their mother's bathroom, that would have been the end of it. It would have been.
Now that we're doing YouTube confessions,
but it's not politically correct. But let's talk about reality. If you have a P thing, then you got a P thing, right? If you got that, pen 15. If you got a pen 15, John, then you got a pen 15. That's bottom line. And I mean, there's a bathroom for you if you got a pen 15. Okay, there. I didn't say it. Are you happy? I didn't say it.
Now that you were doing YouTube confessions, I have to admit that I thought that the women's bathrooms was something like they had like a salon in there. You get your nails done.
Yeah.
I had no idea. Unfortunately, though, I have to admit that I've been in many, many women's bathrooms, and the way that happens is I'm not there actually spying or anything like that. Is because I have so many daughters, I can't take them into the men's room. So sometimes I have to go, is there anybody in there? And then say if there's an accident and I got to clean up one of the kids when they were young, whatever. I got to go in the girls' bathroom. I found, it's like, So I mean, they let me. You should let anybody in.
Parental care is different than saying
You can't take little girls into boys' bathrooms because they can see the urinals where people are peeing. Right? That's the worst thing you can do. Sometimes you got to take them in. Yeah.
As long as there's no
so what are we doing today?
Floating around, John. Sorry, we got. That was easy to get distracted on that, wasn't it? So we're going to talk about scumbag Republicans, and we're going to talk about Democrats' mental disorder, the Trump mandate, which is a mandate, and the bomb. All right, and for those of you who don't know,
the bomb.
This is in reference. That was in reference to December 7th, which was, this last weekend, and December 7th was the start of the Second World War for America, which was already going on, but it was the start of us getting into it when Pearl Harbor was dastardly attacked, a surprise attack, December 7th at 7:58 in the morning in Hawaii. So we'll talk about that and the consequences of it. But first off, John, let's talk about scumbag Republicans, shall we? It's already started, by the way. It's already started.
This is.
No, go ahead.
So it's go ahead. What's your evidence that it's already started? All right. Well, I would start with that. So, of course, this. Well, all right. So I'll start with on the national scene, it was the Pete Hegseth was trying to Trump's appointee for the Department of Defense to lead the Department of Defense. The Rumsfeld position is facing opposition from the Republicans, not the Democrats. We all know they're going to vote against it because that's what they do, right? Now, of course, when a good old General Austin, who's currently in the position, I think the vote for it was 95-5 to confirm him. This is the guy who disappeared for 2 weeks and nobody knew where he was missing. But the Democrats are allowed to get away with all voting, but that's bad enough. But what with these rhino piece of crap Republicans, and led by allegedly Joni Ernst, right? Who's allegedly which he's a neocon, right? A war hawk. But allegedly in conservative Iowa, in a conservative voice, because she wants the job, she's going to try and put the kibosh on Trump's nominee. Now, what it is this is the Republican Party making the rhinos that have not been run out of the Republican Party. Listen, they just wanted a revolution in Syria. We just want a revolution here in America, and these fools don't get it, right? One of the things that has to be done is that Trump's promise is this: listen, I only got 2 years here, really, right? Any of you creeps get in my way in the next 2 years, Joni Ernst, I will guarantee you, I will spend the last 2 years of this presidency raising so much money to spend against you in your state that you don't have a chance to get it. And not only that, I will sick my DOJ upon you to find out all the corruption. So everybody knows how corrupt you are and how paid off you are, because that's all it is. What these rhino scumbag Republicans are looking at is, oh, look, this is our chance now to make money. All we do is keep our head low when the Democrats are in, so let them run riot and do whatever wacko things that they can do. Now it's our turn to cash in and make big money, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to stop Trump. Who's Trump? Right? Who's Trump? He's the guy who just won. You wouldn't even be in the majority if it wasn't for Trump. How dare you get in the way of Trump? How dare you get in the way of the 76 million Americans who voted for him and the 4 years we just fought like hell to get him get in there? You creeps. We should be taking names and taking numbers. Now, this goes back to a classic.
Well, John, just to interrupt you, Joni Ernst is up for re-election in 2020. Joni, you can hear me? Joni Ernst is up for election in 2026. Yeah. So the 2026, she could be removed.
These people are.
She could be removed.
She should be removed. The fact that she would even float this, that she would even float, but you can put me in charge, that goes to show you she's completely unqualified and everything. Now, so here's what happens. These arrogant little pricks who think that they're so much smarter than all the rest of us, who they tell us how to live our lives. So here's what happens. And it's the classic example is good old Rick Santorum, the old time used to be the senator of Pennsylvania. Now, when he was running, I actually met him, and I was a nobody in the back room, for free. And I have to give him all the credit. He started out, he had 7 kids, one of them special needs kids. He was Catholic. He worked like nobody's business. He's the only one who went around and shook everybody's hand. I was very impressed, right? But then he gets to Washington, right? So anyway, he gets kicked out as senator, and one day he's on TV, he's on the radio for Bill Bennett, because Bill Bennett was out there, and Mr. Virtue was squandering all his money betting on things. Anyway, this was at the very time period that the Tea Party, and this is why we're bringing it up, because it's the same thing, the same problem. The problem is the Tea Party never took any scalps, and what we have to ask, what our MAGA has to do, is start taking scalps of these rhino creeps. So anyway, so Obama wins. Just to rehash the history, Obama wins. There's these conservative Republicans who go, well, we're too scared to do anything for real. So what we'll do is we'll say we're fiscal conservatives, right? And so literally Paul Ryan, that scumbag Cantor, and that scumbag Kevin McCarthy wrote a book called The Young Guns, and this is going to be 1994, and Newt Gingrich's all over again, and we're going to put fiscal discipline on Obama, right? So the Tea Party the Tea Party works their asses off, right? They give the Congress back to the Republicans. He's there, and he has a mandate, and his mandate is, well, all the Tea Party did was enough. Stop the spending, cut the spending, cut the size of government, enough, right? You can't have a more clearer mandate, except for the one we just saw with Trump, than that, right? A grassroots, real organizational movement from the people up to make one position, cut the government, stop spending the money. And then you had that sellout, and they wrote a book about it. They're Mr. Conservative. They're the young guns, right? Mr. Conservative, right. Mr. Fiscal Conservative, because then we don't have to do any. We can let them steal the culture and screw America. Anyway, they get up there and they're negotiating. In there, they're going to shut the government down. Blah blah blah. Paul Ryan comes out. We saved $200 billion, right? And then it started coming out, and it was really, well, maybe it's 20 billion, and then maybe it's like 2 billion. Yeah, and then it's like 200 million. Yeah, and they're all patting each other on the back and waving, we're the cheap, we did this, you're right? And it was all a lie, right? They had, when it came right down to it, it got down to some ridiculous number like 60,000 that they cut off the budget. But then actually, because of the way we really count the budget, it wasn't, they didn't stop anything. Anyway, Santorum was on the radio one day, because I'm trying to make this point, is a lot of these creeps, there's two versions of how you go to Congress. One version is the constitutional founding father way. I represent the people. I say, I'm going to do this thing. These are my issues. I'm going to be against, I'm going to be cutting the budget and no more spending, right? And then you go, and that's what you do. That's the Trump version, right? That's the Trumpian version. That's why they really, really hate Trump so much, is because he made all these promises and he started checking them off. To do that. And he did it. Every president for the last 40 years said that, and he did it. And you can't do that. The State Department is telling him, even though Bush said he was going to do it, you can't do that. Even though Obama said you can't do it, you can't do that. But he's the guy, and he went through the checklist. So there's the Trumpian version, the actual, I'm hired. I work for the people. I'm hired for this spot. I said I was going to do these things. These are the only things that I'm going to do. If something new comes up, obviously everybody cut him some slack, but they expect him to do basically what he did. Unless, it's so Jeffersonian, it's like the Louisiana Purchase. Even though I said I was going to not spend any money, it's just too good to pass up. And everybody will cut him some slack.
Like Greenland, John. Like Greenland.
Like Greenland, right. If it comes up. Now, so now the other version is the scumbag rhino Republican, Santorum, right? He's on there. So some poor American goes in there on the phone and calls up the Santorum, and he's making every BS excuse under the sun for the scumbags who've sold out and destroyed the Tea Party. These are guys, by the way, who took all kinds of hits from the IRS, who sacrificed all their time, got nothing out of it, thanks to these creeps. So anyway, he's up there. He's calling them this American, and they get into it, and he goes, and then the American goes, it's He goes, you're wrong doing this. They sold us out. And he goes, and so Trump goes, no, because now he looks as an ex-senator, it says, fight them. When we get in charge, we can do anything we want. We're not held by you scummy little people. And he says that, something like that. It says, because the American goes, it's a democracy, right? And Scumbag to Trump shoots back, goes, no, it's not. It's a republic. And the best answer I ever heard, because I was driving Sergeant America to Roman High School that day, was he shot back to the radio. No, it's not a republic. It's a constitutional republic, meaning as Adams, Jefferson, and Washington, all the founding fathers said, these rules don't matter anything if you have a moralless people. You have a duty. You swear the oath to the Constitution. You're going to represent the people, not yourselves. And that's what Santorum was doing, and that's what rhinos do. They represent themselves, and that's what that piece of crap Paul Ryan does. They represent themselves instead of the American people. Two versions of it, right? Oh, they think that they're like, it's like just all dude, like they're like the House of Arcades, like the House of Ryan, right? Screw you, asshole. Like the House of Bush. Screw you, asshole. Get out of here. And so what they're failing to realize is that Big Daddy is back. Big Daddy has survived everything, and he's knocked off. Let's look at the list of people Big Daddy's knocked off so far. He's knocked off the Clinton crime family, and he's alive to tell the story. He's knocked off the Obama scumbaggeries, right? Two, right? He's knocked off the Biden crime family, right? He's knocked off the California Pelosi, Gavin Newsom piece of crap crime family, too, right? That's four, right?
Don't forget the Chuck E. Cheese, John. Don't forget the Chuck E. Cheese.
The Chuck E. Cheeses, right. Chuck E. Cheeses, right? It's unbelievable what he's done. And so he's got some more work to do. This man on a mission from God, he's got some more work to do. And one of it is to clean out the Chuck Schumer, the Schumers, right? The Chucky Schumers, who are so willing to sell us Americans out. How dare they? And it's like I was talking the other day. It's this and that is, right? We know this because we're of this. We read the history, and we are of the type of the founding fathers. This is what. That's why they. Who's Cincinnatus? It's the story of the Roman general. There's a barbarian invasion. He puts down his plow, puts on his buckles on his sword and his shield, beats the barbarians, puts it down. Right
next week. I'm starting next week. We start next week.
Right. It's the duty. It's your duty. And then it's not what you can make. And we're the Kennedy Democrats. It's not what. Don't ask what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. It's the selflessness that's been missing from the corrupt Congress and the corrupt rhinos that have been sold out the Tea Party and think that they're going to sell out MAGA. But only is we're a different breed now. We have the Tea Party guys with us. But we're a lot more blue collar, working class, much more likely to belt you, to knock you out on the floor than we are to like, let's enter into a debate with you. Screw you, jerks. You jerks you don't deserve it. What?
Well, I think I think
that's my little rant on that.
So, but we do have the semi-Republicans who want to go out there. I think the point that you mentioned, but needs to be driven home, is the self-interest of people like Joni Ernst, right? She, like you said, she wants the job. That's why she's going after Hegseth. But it's not just her. They want the self-aggrandizement. We saw it a lot with like John McCain. When John McCain with the cameras in front of him, when you have somebody who wants just the attention, the moment there's a crucial vote, you'll see him show up at the cameras,
Tell us
He'll
what
say,
happened. Tell us his claim to fame, and it's a shame it tells you what a scumbag John McCain was for a lot of
he's the
reasons.
one who
But what
saddled us with
he was reelected.
Obamacare.
He was reelected with the idea that he was going to vote against Obamacare, and it was his vote that was going to be. You can guarantee, even though I don't like Trump, I am going to vote for it. And what did that scumbag do? What did he do, brother? He goes when he's the last one to vote, just for it, and he thinks he's some kind of great statesman. He takes his thumb and he goes to when Trump gets all the allies. They have all the votes except for one vote. They need one more vote to kill Obamacare, and then Trump would sign it. And what does asshole do? He goes, oh, and he thinks he's funny. What a dirtbag, John McCain.
Yep.
Dirtbag, and he's rotting in hell for the lack of morality that he had.
And that's why people like Joni Ernst. That's why people like the one from Maine, Susan Collins, the one from Alaska. I mean, I don't know what Alaska was thinking when they elected her. Murkowski. I don't have no idea what they were thinking when they reelected her. But that's why these people, John,
Nepo baby.
These people, these people are, they're modern day John McCain's. They're the Mitt Romneys. They're the people who, but I have a local issue like that, brother. We got local people like that here in New Jersey. Now, New Jersey is a swing state at this point. It can be. I should say it's not, but it can be a swing state. It can be a swing state because of Trump's inroads. The problem what we have going on right now, we have a lot of people this year, 2025, are running for governor. And what happens in New Jersey, we have a plethora of those kinds of Republicans. They'll be in the primary. We even have this guy named Mike Crispy who wants to try to make himself the Trump version of for governor. He wants to get Trump's support. The problem, there's a lot of problems with it. First of all, every election, he's run, he's lost, right? But he's trying to claim he's the grassroots guy. It's just another splinter off of the entire race. I don't even know if there's grassroots. It's the way some people define it is not the same way I define it. Grassroots are the people like the ones who came out for Trump and went from a 14-point difference in 2020 to a 4-point difference in 2024. Those are the grassroots people. Those are the people who went out. They're the Hispanic, the blue collar, all the people who had enough of the Bidenomics and the left wing ideology and letting girls go into men go into girls' bathrooms. Those are the grassroots people. Just because you say you're America first doesn't automatically make you grassroots. And to be honest with you, the two main people who are running, Jack Ciattarelli and Bill Spadea, have both badmouthed Trump early on, right? But so did J.D. Vance, and J.D. Vance is his VP pick, right? So did a lot of other people, and they got on board. I'm willing to listen to the other candidates. I'm willing to listen, but my point goes back to all you're doing is when you are trying to get into this race and you're splintering the movement, all you're doing is you're causing more likelihood that we're going to lose. What needs to happen is January 21st, President Trump needs to sit down with everybody who's running in Virginia and everyone who's running in New Jersey and say, because listen, New Jersey's 14 electoral votes. 14 electoral votes. That's 5 less than Pennsylvania, but it's more than Wisconsin. It's more than Michigan. It's more than Arizona. It's more than Nevada. So if you can turn New Jersey red, you're going to win the presidential election for the next 8 years. Because
and it happens, right? It happens because you've had Republican governors.
Yeah, we've had a Republican governor. We're likely to have another Republican governor. But the only way that if we do, then you're going to make New Jersey in play in 2028. And the best way to do that is for Trump to say, here's my finger. I'm putting it on the scale, and I want this person to be the governor, whoever that is. Like, I have no personal animus towards Spadia or Jack. I think they're both, decent people. And John Bramnick will not get it. John Bramnick is 71 years old. He's just doing it to get money in his pocket. He's a anti-Trumper. Then I don't even know why he's even in the Republican Party. But he hates Trump. He hates everything about Trump. So he'll never get the finger on the scale for him. So it's either going to be Chirelli or it's going to be Spadia. And, that's it. Then everyone else should say, okay, it was nice thinking about running, but we want to win New Jersey. We want Republican values to win. We want that, and that's the thing, John. Are you for the Republican values, or are you or not? Like, I want to be a Republican. I vote Republican, but I want to be independent. Then you're not really for Republican values. You're not, you're not standing up for the platform. You have to be able to go out there and articulate it. And both of them can articulate the Republican platform. Both of them can do it. And they're very capable. But I guess my point is, at the end, when the primaries happen in June, no matter who wins, what happened to us in 2021 was the people who lost got all butthurt. And I don't mean the candidates as much as the people who were supporting the candidate. They got all butthurt and went home. And they didn't go vote. And because they didn't vote on election day in November, Chitterelli lost. I mean, it was a very, very fine margin. Very fine margin. And Chitterelli could have won. Yeah, it was very close. It was very close. It was the same year that Ed Durr, who was running, beat Steve Sweeney in South Jersey. So that was Steve Sweeney was the second highest guy in the entire Democrat in the state, and he got beat by a truck driver named Ed Durr. And there's a reason for it.
So game it out. Because it's going to be next year then, right? So
it's next year. They're already running, John. Everyone's already running.
Peace breaks out, right, in the world. The war in Ukraine is over. The war in Middle East is over. The the economy starts taking off. Gas prices go down, right? Right. Trumpy's not putting up with any crap now. He's not. Oh, we're not going to have Russia. Oh, Ukraine. Although they're trying. They're boy.
Kash Patel's not going to accept it. Kash Patel is going to slam that stuff down.
Russia. They're already doing it. When you guys see what Tulsi Gabbard is, Russia. Screw you, creeps.
She met with Bashad's people in Syria. Oh my God. Give me a break. No, and John, I guess the point
so he's going to be. So it's going to be Republicans. It's going to be a Republican wave, hopefully in a year.
He's going to be running against the Democrat, who's going to have lots of money. I personally think the opponent that the Republicans are running against Gottheimer. He's got the money. He has a bank. He has a huge bank account that he's going to tap. He's got also the other thing is he's successfully run in Bergen County. And Bergen County is the biggest county in the state, 1 million people, and there's only 9 million people in the state. So 1/9 are right there in Bergen County, and he has the infrastructure already in Bergen County. So you have to really get somebody who's going to have the money to fight Goliath. You're going to have a Goliath go up against someone like this. Because Gottheimer's got, he's got access to the hedge funds of New York City. He's friends with Bloomberg. He's friends with Schumer. He's friends with the Clintons. He's as connected.
He's a Clinton. There's that picture of him with Clinton where he looks like
Yeah, no, he's definitely a Clintonite, and he's definitely a big member of the Democrat Party. And so you have him. You either get rid of him now and defeat him now, and then he'll stay in his little district which is my district, by the way, which disturbs me to no end. But he'll stay the fifth district, congressman, until somebody comes along with equal amount of money to beat him. But we have to be prepared because New Jersey can and I think Virginia's 11 votes. Isn't Virginia like 11 or 12 votes? And if we had a governor there, it didn't really. It was kind of an uphill battle. Yeah,
Youngkin won, and I think what's her name? Sears. Winsome Sears is running, right?
It's
and she's
she's
great.
Not really but she's not really pro-Trump as much as we would like.
She's not, unfortunately, but she's pro Second Amendment. So,
but she's pro Second Amendment. Anyway, I guess my point goes to when your primary candidate loses in June, don't go home crying.
Trump is famous for letting bygones be bygones, and forgiving. And forgiving and forgetting. He's famous. He's actually he's over in Paris now for the opening of the cathedral.
He's sitting in the front row, John. He's sitting in the front row.
He's flirting with Jill Biden.
He's already John acting as the president of the United States.
Daddy's back. The alpha dog is back. You can't keep the alpha dog down. He is the alpha.
John, I'm sitting there watching videos of him, and I'm like, he's already president. They're already treating him as
he's the president. Comment about Syria. Zelensky's there too, and him and Macron had a talk. So you can see he's already negotiating, and they can't say anything about him. Poor Nick, General Flynn got in trouble because he was doing his job because he wasn't, in the national security. When the first Trump agency came around, when Pence lied about him. But you can't say anything about him. He can do any negotiating he wants, and so he's already talked to those two, right? And he's talked to them. But then he goes on the internet. I mean, he goes on Truth, and he says his post is about the Syrian, and it's so Trump, and he's playing Vulcan 5D, 5-dimensional chess, right? Chess. It's not even the 3D stuff that Spock would play. He would eat Spock alive. It's the 5D stuff. So he says, he's going like, Syria's gonna fall. Looks like it's not good. The Russians don't have enough men. They don't have enough material. Poor Putin. Can't even help out his allies because the war in Ukraine is so depleted him. It was only good for him to be there anyway because he showed what an idiot Obama was. Him and his red line. I'm going to make a red line, and then nobody's allowed to go over it. But then when they do, I'm not going to do anything because Obama's an idiot. The only thing I got out of that was proving how stupid Obama was. It's classic, beautiful. But what it is he's negotiating with Putin through the truth, and he's right. He's sending the message. He's sending the signals already. He's going to have that resolved. Like pronto when he gets in there. Plus he gets the cut. He covers it up with the cut on Obama, which is the truth too. It's so true too. Their version. These people, for all they say, and this is the truest thing said in the last 10 years was Tucker Carlson's comment at the Madison Square Trump rally, where he says the big lie is that these people who demand to tell us how to live our lives aren't very impressive at all. And Trump proves it again and again by knowing better and doing more about every little thing.
Because he is impressive. That's why. Because Trump is
impressive. Right.
Yeah. Because he surrounds himself with impressive people. He's got Elon.
He didn't go to Lacau. He didn't go to the French L'École Academy of International blah blah blah.
no,
He didn't do that, right? You know, if you in France, you're only allowed to be in the State Department if you go into their Harvard or the Yale. He didn't get no. You know, again, it's showing again how any American you grabbed off the street would do a better job than these idiots like Obama and the entire 30,000 State Department morons that they have there, and every other idiot from Harvard and Yale.
It's like Bill Buckley said, John. I'd rather take the first 2,500 people in the phone book before I would go to anybody at the Harvard or Yale to ask them to adjudicate.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know,
that's my only cut about Trump is he still has too much, credibility for those institutions that don't deserve any. That deserve the exact opposite. You much better getting somebody from a state college because they're a hard worker and they know how to do stuff.
That whole thing about him, not going after the thing, all that, as far as I'm concerned, went out the door when Barack Obama did his grand tour of the world in order to increase his foreign credentials. And by the way, I watched Biden do his response to this collapse in Syria, and he's talking about how, and it blows my mind, he's trying to take credit for it when it's like you said, the adult has come home, the alpha male has come back home, everyone knows it, they're all trying to act as if like they're a bunch of kids when they know daddy's coming home.
They're trying to clean up the party mess. They're trying to clean up the party mess.
They're trying to clean up the party mess. Daddy's coming home.
And
the daddy's coming home. So Iran is like, oh, we didn't do anything. Nope. There's nothing here.
That wasn't us. Hezbollah and Hamas. That wasn't us.
That wasn't us.
We
weren't supporting Hamas. No.
Houthis, that's not us. That's the Houthis.
Nope.
That's the Blowfish guy. That's a rock band.
Yeah, no, it's a rock band. Yeah, no, it's not us. Yeah,
that's not us.
And that's the reason why. Syria fell is because the support. They're like, wow, those Israelis kicked our butt and they wiped out so much, and these Americans. The alpha male's coming back. We better get out of here.
See, they don't know they just don't know what to make of him because he said in his tweet, this is not our fight, right? But then again, though, then he'll do things like he's famously for there, where the Russian were attacking because they thought it was a chance. Way back when he was the president, they thought it was a chance. He said, and he goes, "No, wipe them out," and he wiped out 200 Russians, the Russian mercenaries, like that. They can't predict him because he does that. That's part of his negotiating style. He's unpredictable that.
He has to reinstitute deterrent because Biden has wiped away the idea of deterrency in our country. Because what he did in Afghanistan, what he did in Ukraine, where he said, "Oh, little invasion's okay," all those things have just and the fact that he's a bumbling, fumbling fool, can't walk up a flight of stairs. This is just more evidence that we need somebody who's going to come in there. And I honestly think, John, I know you may disagree, but I wouldn't be surprised if those hostages are not released by January 20th. I would not be surprised if a few SEAL teams were joined up with Syria and said, we're getting the hostages back, and they go in there and they start wiping out Hamas, getting those hostages out. I'm not saying we're going to put, troops on the ground like in a massive invasion. I'm saying there they are. You're going to get American support to get all the hostages out because there's still Americans being held. And Hamas is saying, yeah, it's a possibility. We better give these people up because they know that Trump might be doing that. And the same thing, wherever there's an American being held, he might be willing to do that. And as far, I think also the way he's going to develop deterrence, I think he's going to go straight at the drug cartels and close down the border. And I wouldn't be surprised if he federalizes a bunch of troops to put them on the border to start hammering away.
Invade Mexico.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well,
I mean,
there's a factory in Mexico. There's a factory in Mexico with Chinese chemists. They know exactly where it is. It's killing Americans. He has every right to freaking bomb the crap out of them for that.
Jake,
Say, hey,
B-50, let's not waste missiles.
Don't mess with the world's number one military and kill 100,000 of our kids every year with your crap. And if you do, we're going to get you, right? We're going to drag you out of your spiral hole like good old Saddam Hussein and hang you.
I'm not suggesting we invade Mexico, and I don't think you are either. What we're saying is we have enough.
A surgical strike.
we have enough.
The 200 dead Chinese chemists. I want 200 dead Chinese chemists for the 100,000 dead Americans every year.
Yeah.
Right? And up in their head, and you should send it back to good old Z. Hey, Z, new boss in town. And that's it. You're right. He needs to create deterrence. And the part of the problem is they don't have deterrence because they have
every ship that's going into Mexico can be boarded by America's investigators to identify fentanyl. And the reason why I say that is because we're not going to just randomly pick them. I am 100% sure that we will be able to identify which ships are carrying the fentanyl precursors, and we will be able to impound those ships and simply say, you know what, China, we're reinstituting the Monroe Doctrine, and China is violating the Monroe Doctrine. And we start hammering away at that. And if China doesn't like it, tough. What are you going to do about it? We're going to raise the tariffs on you higher. Because you're not doing what you said you were going to do. You said you were going to stop this from happening. You didn't. Guess what? We're closing down your shipping industry into Mexico, into South America. Because, John, I have to believe that with the level of intelligence that they're able to gather on this, that they can identify which ships are carrying these precursors, and they can interdict them in the ocean and get rid of it. Well, I'm not saying sink it. I'm not saying create an international. But listen, let's be honest, because look at what China's doing to the Philippines right now.
The message, brother.
That's what China's doing to the Philippines right now. In the Philippines, in the South China Sea, there are Philippine ships that are having their Chinese ships running into them and attacking. And all I'm suggesting is we do the same damn thing to them, but in the giant Pacific Ocean.
Just sink them.
I'm not saying sink. I mean, okay, if you want to sink them, start an international incident, yeah, okay, well, we'll have a war. I mean, we got more nukes than they do, so. But they probably have 100,000 or 1 million Chinese military male-aged men in our border, behind our border somewhere. So we do have to be worried about that. That is something because they did sneak them in, and they are continuing to try to sneak them in for the next 40 days. What is it, 30 days? 40 days that we got left? 30 days. 40 days until the January 20th election or inauguration. All right, brother. So wow, we really talked a lot about that, didn't we? Oof.
Yeah, we didn't get it. We didn't get that done. It's kind of hard to do.
It's right.
It's kind of hard to.
Let's do the Democrat mental disorder. Let's do that. I mean, mental disorder, John. Or do you want to talk about the fentanyl since we already started with the drugs?
Well, no. Why don't we just deal with the fentanyl then? Because you just do your fentanyl because you were going to talk about that.
Because I would say, brother, and the whole point that I guess what we're talking about the fentanyl is I was at this training last week, and it was a local anti-drug training, and the people in charge of it are like rather prominent in the area in doing good work. They're doing good work in trying to educate families and schools about the dangers of drugs. Specifically, they really were talking about the electronic cigarettes, and how the kids are using them, and how there's definitely an increase in them. But when they went through their presentation, they started talking about fentanyl, and they said we don't even talk about heroin anymore because heroin's non-existent. The real drug that is the biggest danger to our children because they talked about the electronic cigarettes as and marijuana as being completely different and being a gateway drug, basically what they said. They didn't use that word, but I'm using it. The gateway drug to getting into heavier stuff. And the heavier stuff is a lot of kids will get pain or they'll get drugs like that. They'll get medicine that's fentanyl that's disguised as something like, Adderall or, something that they thought was not harmless, but going to help them, a painkiller. And so there's these fake meds that are being made in Mexico, Mexico drug areas, like you were just talking about, that were being done by, Chinese pharmacists and stuff. And they were being, they mentioned it. They were being made in Mexico, but they never talked about how they got here to Mexico because it's a left-leaning group, and I'm sure they don't want to talk about the giant gorilla, bumbling gorilla in the room, the Biden administration, which allowed all that fentanyl to flow north. And I'm looking around at all the people in the room who I know at least half of them, if not more, voted Democrat, and they voted Democrat in the last election, and they've been voting Democrat for years, and they're the ones who allowed Biden to be elected. And I'm thinking to myself, does anybody in this room want to take responsibility for their vote? Do they? I'm thinking about it because the lady said, I think it was 2 years ago, 2021 or 2022 or 2023, it was 5 out of 10 deaths were fentanyl related, and now it's 7 out of 10 deaths of teenagers is fentanyl related, and that's with John Narcan and all kinds of other things that are being used to help counteract it. The fentanyl is within all these things that are disguised to look like prescription medication that you might get, and they showed us pictures of it, and they do look very identical to this stuff. But you got a drug dealer who's selling you, hey man, I got some Adderall to help you do great on the test, and it's laced with fentanyl, and it's made, your kids taking that because they're trying to get a better grade, and they're trying to use the Adderall to help their brain focus better for that 3 hours or whatever it's going to be, and it's killing them. And that's why we have 100,000 dead kids every 100,000 dead people, because it's adults too who are being killed every year by this drug. And it's because we know, and we've talked about this, we've actually talked about this in other videos, the drugs are being carried on the backs of mules. The people who are being, carrying on their backs across the border, and then it's being sold on our streets. And the Democrats like to respond, no, the biggest interdiction is going on. The biggest amount of trafficking is being done at the border crossing. No, asshole, that's where they're catching them. They're catching them at the border crossing because guess what? That's where we have our police. That's where they're getting caught because that's the distraction. That's meant as a distraction. They may be losing 10% of their product, but the rest of it's being carried on the backs of mules by being led by coyotes as they're crossing the border. And then when they're getting over here, those people are being trafficked for whatever it is that the cartels want to use them for. So this is what Trump has got a mandate, which we could talk about next, a mandate to stop. And that's why I think he's going to federalize troops. He's going to federalize the troops and say, you're all border patrol. And we're going to, make sure we have helicopters in the air. We're going to put the, I don't know, the 82nd or the.
They're going to build the wall. They're going to finish the wall.
And they're going to put seismic sensors there, whatever it takes, and they're going to start actively shooting at anybody who crosses the
Mexican
border.
The Mexican army is going to stop, start interjecting. They're going to remain in Mexico. Yeah. So you want to do mandate now?
Let's do the mandate.
We don't have a lot of time. All right. So one of the things is that Harpy McShrew, Sourpuss Harpy McShrew what's Mark Stein's words? It's sourpuss, harpy, mixshrew. He's got one more. Describe these hags. Like on the View, says Trump he barely won. He didn't have a mandate. Not that he won the Senate, right? And not that he won the House. Not that he won the popular vote, stunningly, right? Not that he won in the face of being charged 90 felonies in 4 different jurisdictions. Not that he won after they tried to shoot and kill him twice, right?
Right.
Not that he won out of spending the last 4 years being nothing but lied about by the fake press and untold billions of fake news being told about him, right? Like, oh, she says, get that word mandate out of your mouth. No, dirtbag.
Do they realize that Bill Clinton won the 1992 election with 43% of the vote, of the popular vote? 43% of the popular
but he was allowed
vote.
to. So my point on the mandate is this: not only did he win against all those things, which repudiate all these things, which gives him the greatest mandate in all time, but not only that. Good old Kamala, when she was running, she wasn't running as a left-hard knucklehead from California. She was running the exact opposite of that. She was going to be pro. She was pro tax cut. She was saying, now we all know it was a lie, because if she was pro tax cut, then what she would have said was, well, you know what? The one good thing that Trump did was have the tax cuts. They're going to expire next year in 2025. I'm going to extend them. Did she say that? No, she didn't, because she was a liar. But she came out and said, he's going to raise your taxes. So but there's not only that issue, right? But she was for cutting taxes on the waitresses, right? Joe Biden had 87,000 IRS agents so he could destroy the middle class, right? That's what the 87 IRS agents are, is to destroy the middle class by sicking the IRS on the middle class, right? So she comes out, she goes, no, we're not going to have any taxes on overtime. We're not going to have any taxes on the wages, stealing Trump's idea, right? So not only that, but what about what else did she? All of a sudden she's strong on national defense, huh?
Yeah. Child tax credit.
Child tax. All of a sudden she's strong on tax on families. All of a sudden she's talking about God. Remember, she was even talking about from Godless California. She's talking about God. But the biggest one is all of a sudden she's got the Cheneys on there. She's strong. Peace through strength. She's Ronald Reagan up there.
and immigration, John. Don't forget, she's the one.
Immigration.
She's the one who's the only one who prosecuted.
Right.
Unbelievable.
She's anti-crime, right? From going from Black Lives Matter to paying for money for murderers to get out of bail, she's now, I'm the only one up here on the stage who's prosecuted criminals, right? She's complete law and order. Now she's all Miss Law and Order. She's all Miss strong on that. All Miss Reagan strength on the national defense. All Miss Reagan tax cutter, right? She's more a Reagan than Trump was, right? So
she's more Reagan than Reagan.
So not only does Trump have this huge win from the people that were paying attention, right? But even all the poor saps who voted for that dope were voting for Kamala because they thought she was going to be the best bet for the rebirth of Reagan. So Trump has managed to get the greatest mandate in human history. There will never be a mandate this great. And there's a really good point about that. Watch out, you scumbag rhinos, because you're next. You dirtbags are next. You get in the way of the Trump train, you're going to get run over. You're going to get run over he's going to grease his tank treads with your bodies. All right, watch out, jerks. Watch out, jerks.
I really. This is why Trump needs to. I think he's got the message. He's going to have to be proactive in selecting the people. It's like I said before. When it comes to New Jersey, um, you have to like pick the guy, and you have to sit him down and say he's a deal maker. He'll do it the right way. He'll say, let's all make peace. Do a unity ticket. One of you can be the governor. The other can be the vice governor or lieutenant governor, right? And that's the way it is. And then in 8 years, you can carry the torch for New Jersey. You can deliver in 4 years. You can deliver New Jersey to the Republican candidate, and in 8 years, you can then run as governor. This is.
I'll tell you why this is so important. That he has to finish the MAGA revolution, right? That he has to purge the Rhino Republicans. Because if you look at it, the Senate is going to be, it's 53-47 right now. But even if you give all of the swing states where you can have where they go back and forth, blue and red, even if you give them all to the Democrats in the next 10, 20 years, as this works out, it's always going to be 53, 40, 47, because that was an artificial number anyway that the Democrats were allowed to steal because they're all about power. So you had all of these fake Democrats pretending to be Republicans, right? In a Republican-like, and still being Democrats
like
and voting
Virginia.
Democrats when they get to Congress, like West Virginia. All those are gone now. So this is the actual makeup of the country right now. At the very best for the Democrats, for the Senate. So let's take this. Let's game that out. And it actually could be as high as 62-64. I've seen some numbers, right? Versus that. We're talking past the now you're talking against the filibuster. You can't even filibuster.
Yep.
Right. So it's amazing. So the Senate is going to be solidly Republican for the next 20 years, maybe, right? And what does that mean? That means you're not going to be able to overturn the Supreme Court. You're not going to be able to pack the Supreme Court because they're going to stop that, right? And so you're going to have that's two arms of the government, of the three part of the government. Okay, so we're going to, the House is the problem with the House is the corruption, right? They need term limits, and they need to. And one of the things that Trump is going to do is you're not allowed to, is to address that. Hopefully, he'll get around to it. But that's definitely an issue with the House. But with a successful Trump presidency now, because he's cleared out, he's defeated. So much of these assholes, and we're not going to go through Russia again. We're not going to go through Ukraine again. We're not going to go impeachment bullshit again. 1 and 2 again. We're not going to go through that because the people have spoken. This is his chance to kill these creeps and to really purge the party of these clowns, at least for 20 years, and really make a substantial clawback of America to its roots of God, family and country that needs to reset America and business.
John, I'm going to add. By the way, I'm going to add. Remember, you ticked off the people that he's defeated. I'm going to add another one. I'm going to add the Cheneys because they need to be on your list as well. You forgot that. And because
wait, we forgot. Stay out of the bushes. We forgot the bushes.
Stay out of the bush. But because the point I want to make here is they've already eliminated themselves, because those who are doing the bulwark, the anti-Trumpers, how can you you can't exist. These guys, John, do they realize that they have they're standing up? First of all, people like Bill Kristol and them, they are, and let's add him to your list too.
Little commies. They were always little commies, little Harvard commies. Little Harvard, Yale commie.
Right, and
commie
these
bitch.
people though, they spent their entire career. Their entire career has been conservatism, right? They've been conservatives, and they are anti-Trump, and they are saying they are anti of the guy who's somewhere, 80, 85%, maybe even like 87% of their shared values. He's shared values. Listen, he's the guy who got the conservative majority on the bench, which turned over Roe v. Wade. Which one of those assholes supported
a ton of other things? Chevron, right?
Yeah.
A ton of other
Which one of
cases.
them supported which president, which Republican did they support that could have done that? Zero of those, John. Zero. As Trump would say it. So my point is, they spent their entire life being for conservatism, but they undermined and they've taken away all their credentials of supporting, of being conservatives, because they supported the one guy who was successful in doing that. And like you said, the other things, he's 85, 87% conservative values. And yet they don't support him. They've self-selected themselves out of it. No one's going to listen to Cheney again. No one's going to listen to Bush's. No one's going to give a rat's rear end about the Kissingers and the Bulwark. No one's going to care what George Will says. Unless you're dedicated to them and your friend, you don't give a rat's rear end what they think. And
you tell them, shut up and go away.
yeah, because they don't matter anymore. They just don't matter. They're not getting into the party. Liz Cheney is never going to be elected as a Republican. She will never hold a political office again. She'll be living out her days in Georgetown or wherever university she's working out, living off tea until Trump goes and takes his finger and shuts down the universities and says, guess what? You're now paying, and you are all.
You're spreading this Democrat propaganda. You're done. Yeah.
Every kid that takes out a loan is going to be done by you. You are now going to be their insurer of guarantee repayment, because if you can't get them a job, you're out. You lose money. You got billions and billions of dollars. The other alternative is we're going to just take those billions and billions of dollars and pay down a national debt. You decide.
Yeah.
I mean, John, it's over. It's over. But it's good. It's good. He's got a mandate. The last thing on the list, I mean, we could talk about the bomb, John. We got to talk about the bomb. I don't care what time it is. I don't care how late it gets. We got to talk about the bomb.
All right, good. Do your speech.
I'll start it off. So the reason why this came a topic is because I once again ended up getting into some Facebook wars. because I went on Facebook and there's this Captain America post, and they're all like, I can't believe Captain America supported the dropping of Hiroshima, the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and it's a war crime. And I tried, John. I took several deep breaths. I drank some of my tea. I tried really hard. I walked around the house a couple times, and I'm like, can't do it. I pulled out my phone, and I had to respond. And John, I mean, listen, you know the facts as well as I do. Let's be clear. I want to make sure we understand. Nagasaki and Hiroshima were not civilian targets. They were military targets. To be clear, I think maybe I have them backwards, but Hiroshima, the naval yard at Hiroshima built the Yamamoto battleship, and Nagasaki built its sister Mushi, which is they were 18-inch guns. They were the platform that they had. Just so we're clear, the battleships were weapons of war, and their naval yard was right there in the city. So when you attack, when you bomb that, which they did many times, you're attacking the port, but you're also attacking the city too. And because I just want to make it clear that the only reason why military industrial factories are located, they're not located out in the countryside, folks. They're located inside cities. Why? Because they need a population base to go there. Just like Philadelphia was, where we were making a lot of Liberty ships out of the Philadelphia Navy Yard, just like Detroit was making tanks and Jeeps, because it wasn't because they liked the climate. It was because they had the population centers there. It's just stupid to say you shouldn't. It's a war crime because they attacked the population center. No, it's actually not. They attacked a military base, and yes, a quarter of a million people died between Nagasaki and Hiroshima. A quarter of a million people died. That's the same number of people that were the casualty list for the invasion of Okinawa, the Japanese home island. It was the we invaded. It was 50,000. I checked the numbers for myself. 50,000 American casualties, 75,000 military Japanese casualties, and 100,000 civilian casualties. Out of it's the numbers are staggering for an island like the size of Okinawa that I think had 7,000 people or 8,000 people living on it. 1/7 of the population. I'm sorry, that 700,000. I forget. 100,000 civilians. But I know it was 100,000 civilians, 75,000 military Japanese deaths, and um, 50,000 American casualties. And John, they captured 7,000 soldiers of the Japanese. 7,000 out of 82,000. The numbers are staggering. So the invasion of the islands of Japan would have been deaths in the millions, casualties in the millions on the Japanese side. And let's also not forget, I know you're going to talk about terrorists tonight, but there were still 10,000 planes in Europe that were waiting to come over to, they were ready to be shifted over to the Pacific area to continue the bombing campaign against them. And they would have leveled Mount Fuji, and they would turn Mount Fuji into a soccer field with the amount of bombs that they were going to drop. And they bombed and other stuff. It would have been disastrous. It would have happened to them. So, Charlie, I know you wanted to talk about it. It infuriated people. It infuriated me.
No,
It's like these people, they've been so indoctrinated. The revisionist history is so corrupt. I'm so tired of
it's the
that.
James. It's the Kinte version of history. It's the Kinte version. I just watched the Eagles beat the who was it today? I forget who it was today. I don't even know the team that they beat. Panthers. They beat the Panthers today, and again, I'm looking close. I didn't see one white boy chase down a African American. It's just a laugh. But if you watch the Roots, or if you're a nitwit who works for the New York Times, you're some kind of idiot. You think that all these white guys went to Africa and they chased down all the little poor African Americans and caught them. Didn't happen, right? No. They didn't go into the interior. It's fake history. And what it is this is a mental disease of the left. As Dennis Prager would say, and we have to say prayers for him because he hurt himself. He got hurt. Is that truth is not a value of the left. Well, the reason why is because it's the religion of the left. Truth isn't one of their values in their value system. The left is a evil worship of an evil religion, called power. And one of the things that they do is they demonize America. Why? Well, because this is literally their religion. America has to be bad and evil, right, for them to be good. And so This is literally a theological. This is literally a theological argument, except that we use reason and facts and objective history, and all they have is lie after lie after lie. And like, I want to know, what is this dopey utopian world that they, civilization that they come from, where they can even pretend to judge those people back then, right? Now, I did want to add a couple of little facts. One of the reasons why it wasn't the American bombing strategy to bomb areas until Japan for one good reason. When Curtis LeMay was doing it in Germany, he was specifically going against the ball bearing and the factories of Germany because they wanted to stop the German war production. Now, of course, the fake historians will come out and say, they didn't do that. They could do it. Yes, they did. That's one of the things that stopped the German production of tanks, that slowed it to the degree that the Russians were able to win on the Western Front, right? And Americans were able to win, on the Eastern Front. I'm sorry, I got that backwards. Anyway, fake historians over there, fake historians over in about the war in the Pacific. Also, one of the things that if you read his autobiography, Curtis LeMay says is he got off right after the war. He got off of a plane, and it was one of the reasons why they had to do what they did was that they didn't really have like Japanese factories the way the Germans did, like centralized in an area like that. They would have he would have burnt down one of the cities, and he would see row after row of like the remnants of the Japanese houses, but then there'd be like a sewing machine in each one of them. And that's how they did it. So they didn't have like one big giant factory that you could target. You had to target the entire city to take out the machinery that they were using to make weapons and bombs to kill poor Chinese, Filipinos, and anybody else, and Americans, and anybody they could get their hands on, because they were a bunch of whack jobs. They were a bunch of nut jobs. Do this. So again, James, it's a Kuta Kite version of history that we have to fight, and we're having a theological debate where one side is doing all religion, the left, and we're just trying to actually argue reason, and it's just incompatible. It's just we can argue reason and objective truth all day long, and they're just not going to get it because this is their religion. America is evil. No, get out, creep. Go see the real world. Go get based. Go take the pill. Take the red pill.
It's like, John, they're acting like these people are acting like we're supposed to be fighting some civilized thing, like it's some sports competition on the out on the village green. It's not. It's war. It's bloody. It's messy. It's terrible. It's horrible. It's one of the reasons why we support Trump so much, is because he wants to not get us into another war. And the thing that blows my mind is these people are like, oh, that's a war crime. Well, you don't even mention that the Japanese were killing 250,000 Chinese every month. They were using babies as bayonet practice.
To arrow deliver the bubonic plague, and the way they did it is that they took prisoners and Chinese and peasants, and they infected them with the bubonic plague, and then they beat them and pulped them to death, and then they put it in aerosol canisters, and then sprayed them over the population of China. No, they were barbarians, the way the Nazis were barbarians. They were dressed up and maybe looked like that they were civilized people, but they were not. And if you can't understand the difference between the Americans, and you think that there's some kind of moral equivalency, then there's not. What it is that's a problem that you have. That's a mental defect that you have. That's the religion that you are worshiping, and that you should really look at yourself in the mirror and say, where did I go wrong?
Yeah.
Because
it's
you're
like
a fool and you don't know what you're talking about.
The other thing that keeps on hearing is, they could have just, demonstrated. They could have just dropped the bomb and, outside of Tokyo Harbor, and that would have made them afraid. No, I mean, do you realize it took 2 bombs on their military targets to actually convince them to surrender? I mean, are you this stupid?
Once we get to the real history, I'm gonna push back. So it wasn't the bombs that had any effect, really. There was 2 things that had the real effect to stop that war, and it weren't those 2. It was Curtis LeMay taking a world almanac and scratching off all the Japanese cities in 3 to 6 months, right? Where he burnt them all to the ground by firebombing them. And the U.S. Navy had mined all of the islands so that there was no inter-island traffic. because Japan isn't one island; it's like 6 different islands, and they'd mine the U.S. Navy. One of the things they did beside bombing it was mine all of the passages, so there was no movement. And what that caused was a starvation. It set into the Japanese homelands. In fact, decades after the war, the Japanese invited Curtis LeMay back to Japan to give him a big award, and he goes back and he's sitting there going, "All right, I'll play." Do you realize who I am? I'm the guy who burnt down the nation of Japan in 3 to 6 months. And they go, yeah, we know who you are. And he goes, well, why are you giving me this award? He said, oh, we want to thank you because of what he did. And what they pointed out was this, that if it wasn't for the fact that he was so brutal, so fast in 3 to 6 months, what would happen is that millions and millions and millions, maybe the entire, close to the entire population of Japan would have starved to death because of the mining of those waters. What happened instead was Curtis LeMay. Then there's 2 bombs, which you can or cannot attribute to then the Hirohito, and getting enough of sway over the militarized cabinet that was really in charge of Japan to declare peace. And then MacArthur came in as emperor, and the United States Navy demined all that property, and the American Navy started giving in food to save the starving Japanese population. So they actually gave Curtis LeMay the highest award you can give in Japan because he saved all those millions of lives. And so same thing with the nuclear bomb. Same thing with the mining of that, because that's what Americans do. This idea, how dare these punks and these creeps like Hannah, whatever her name is for the stupid 1619, how dare these creeps? Because we've been fighting this battle now for what, 40 years now. Where this nonsense keeps up, and what it is a mental disorder. Just like you have Trump derangement syndrome, you have anti-American derangement syndrome, right? From these creeps. Listen, I'm for we're going to have this mass deportation argument over the next years. I'm for this. Listen, let's take all the Trump deranged fools and all these anti-American deranged fools who hate this country with this mental disorder, and what they do is the way the mental disorder works is they're projecting on us. They're a bunch of assholes and they're a bunch of evil people, and they want to project all that onto us so that they can then look back and say, so look, I'm superior because I'm pointing it out. No, you're a deranged nut. There's something mentally wrong with you. You shouldn't be in charge of anything. You shouldn't be driving a car. You shouldn't be in charge of your own medication. You shouldn't be in charge of anything. You should be. So what we should be doing, grabbing them up and say, you think it's so great in the rest of this world? You don't realize how great of America is? Whoop, ship them over. Say, listen, we're gonna ship you over to Venezuela, and we'll keep one non-gang member from Venezuela. Right. That's what we ought to do.
Yeah, John, and I think it's like you were saying before, the history, this attack on our history, this attack on our country, it's vile. And
it's vile. That's a very good word for it, brother. It's Kunta Kinte history. It's Kunta Kinte history.
Because, John, do you remember in Hong Kong when they were protesting, they weren't carrying the British flag. Maybe some of them might have carried it.
Right.
But they weren't carrying the Soviet flag. They weren't carrying the Venezuela flag. They were carrying the American flag through the streets of Hong Kong. And when they built that statue in Tiananmen Square, they built the Liberty.
Right, exactly. Right. Yeah.
The Statue of Liberty. That wasn't the Eiffel Tower. It wasn't Big Ben. It was the Statue of Liberty, and there's a reason.
Lenin, the dirtbag Lenin, right?
It wasn't Lenin. They because our founding document says it clearly. We were all created equal in the eyes of God, and there's no give on that. There's just no give, and we could talk about how. Oh, but there were slaves in America and everything. We can talk about that. That was the catalyst. That document was the catalyst.
Actually, it was the British who did that. That was not Americans. That was the British who did that. And it wasn't even a British tradition. It was an African tradition that the first indentured servants off of that slave boat had managed to trick talk a British court into finding so that he created the first slave. It has nothing to do with America. That's not American. That's not American. And in the North, when that happened, when the Portuguese ships with the slaves on them got that far, they said, "We know what did that. This is called man stealing," and they arrested everybody on that crew, and they freed all those slaves.
We need to do a special, John. We need to do a special. We need to do a special show on the 1619 project. On 1619 project, we should just do it. I mean, both of us are more than capable historians.
History, right?
Yeah,
right. Let's do 1619.
We really should.
Kinte version.
I mean, no. I mean, listen. I've read some stuff. I've listened to some people, and they're the university elites who are attacking it, and they're making great points, but they're not like, I don't really give a rat's rear end really what they say, because they're like, oh well, if you were to study the history, you would have been able to determine blah 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 blah. Like, give me a break. I think we need to point out the fallacies of it, the natural fallacies of the 1619 project, because they're a bunch of fools. It's really a bunch of fools. Anyway, brother. I mean, that's the show. We even talked about the derangement syndrome of the Democrats. We do need to talk about, by the way, our show is, you can see go to our website. Here's our website right here. You can go to read some of our articles. There's also some of our merch. Welcome to Adolf Biden's Banana Republic. It's going to be dated in a couple weeks, so you better get them while the supplies last. It's all on clearance.
Right.
$16. So then there's the I Am the Anomaly, of course. We have Free Trump. We're all felons now, which, they're not done going after him, folks. They're not done going after him.
We're gonna need a whole new. We're gonna have to need a whole new roster there.
Yeah. That shirt's still relevant, and of course we have the I prefer dangerous freedom,
the perennial favorite,
peaceful slavery, which is always gonna be a winner. It's always gonna be a winner. So make sure you check out our merch. You can get that at our website. As you can see at the bottom, beatingthematrix.com. You can feel free to go there and check it out. Or as Dice would say, and check it out. Right? Isn't that how he would say?
Check it out, yeah.
Anyway, brother, you any final thoughts?
But wait.
It's
all good.
It's all good. Because God loves you. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking our show out. We'll see you hopefully next week.
What's your view on homosexuality?
Yeah, I am mindful that we're all sinners, and I caution those who may try to take the speck out of their neighbor's eye when they got a log in their own. The great threat to civilization is that a few evil men will multiply.
It's worse than horrible, because a zombie has no will of his own. You see them sometimes walking around blindly with dead eyes, following orders, not knowing what they do, not caring. You mean like Democrats?
The fact that somebody decided that they would go ahead and leak classified information.
Failure to communicate.
Don't just win you that.
Yeah, you don't need papers for voting. You don't need to be a registered voter to help.
So this is worse than a third world country.
I'm beginning to smell a big fat commie rat.
I've still not been accused of anything wrong because I haven't done anything wrong. And I'm not going to do anything wrong.
We're rich. We're filthy with dough. You're filthy without it.
Okay.